Gavin Newsom has been making the rounds when it comes to conservative podcasters. As you know, earlier this year, he launched his own podcast called the Gavin Newsom Podcast. And he received a little bit of heat because he had guests on there like Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon. Recently, he spent 4 hours with conservative podcaster Shawn Ryan, who is a former Navy SEAL and CIA contractor. Veterans and conservatives are big fans of Shawn Ryan, and they consider his platform very credible. On the podcast, Gavin Newsom went into conservative territory. He talked about forest management, he talked about fish, he talked about fires, he talked about Second Amendment rights, and even more. Now, I like listening to podcasts because sometimes you see a more personal side of these politicians. For example, Shawn Ryan asked Gavin Newsom about his feelings towards Joe Rogan. And Gavin Newsom said, and I quote, "That mother trucker, I'm a Joe Rogan fan. I've signed some of the most progressive laws against big pharma, and I have receipts." Gavin Newsom responded like this because Joe Rogan said that Gavin Newsom bowed down to big pharma during the COVID-19 response. And Gavin said, "Did I make mistakes? Yes. But could I do things differently? Sure. But this was uncharted territory and we had never been through anything like this before." He also announced that the state of California is getting an independent review on the state's response to COVID-19. He said that it's the responsible thing to do to have a completely outside source do a review on the way that California handled COVID-19. Gavin Newsom also opened up about the fact that he grew up with dyslexia, and he believes that being a child with dyslexia actually helps him in the way that he governs people. He said that he had to be really creative in order to overcome dyslexia. So Shawn Ryan has some kind of ceremonial pistol thing he does at the end of his podcast. And Newsom responded and basically said that he's pro Second Amendment, but he does believe there needs to be a little bit of reform. And then Ryan pushed back and said, "I carry every single day. I want to protect myself. I want to protect my family." And Newsom said, "I completely understand that. And I also think that there needs to be some changes, some better background checks." And he recommended people with mental health. And then Shawn Ryan said, "Well, I'm a veteran, and some people believe that we have mental health problems." Gavin Newsom responded by saying, "You know what? You're correct. You're right. But what about if you have a violent history? What if you are a domestic violence perpetrator? What if you have schizophrenia? There's just too many what ifs, and too many lives are being lost for us to do nothing about it." He told Shawn Ryan that even though California has stricter gun laws, the data and the numbers show that by having stricter gun laws, it reduces the rate of deaths by firearm. California has 37% lower than the national average of firearm related deaths than any other state here in the country. They also tackled the discussion of forest management and wildfires here in the state of California. And Newsom said that the first executive order that he signed focused on vegetation and wildfire prevention. He claims that the state of California has invested 10 times more money into handling things in the state of California when it comes to wildfires, including fuel breaks and controlled burns. But he reminded Shawn Ryan that California only controls 3% of the forest here in the state of California, and the federal government is in charge of 57% of the forest here in California. Shawn Ryan also asked him about the water and the Delta smelt rumors. And Newsom said that it's really frustrating that people believe what Donald Trump says because he did not send us water. We had all the water we needed. It's just that these were unprecedented fires, and there's no way that the fire hydrants could pump the amount of water that we needed to put out these fires. And also, this fire was unusual because it was urban and wildfire. He reminded us that we don't use fire hydrants to put out wildfires. We use water tenders. Gavin Newsom started laughing when they started discussing the Delta smelt fish rumor that Donald Trump put out into the world and said, "That is absolutely insane. And I'm very sad that the leader of our country told people that and they believed it." Gavin Newsom also addressed the California exodus rumor. And he said while COVID was going on, there was a small dip in the population, but that in the years 2023 and 2024, each year California grew in its population. Shawn Ryan asked Governor Newsom, "What do you think about the Epstein files?" And Newsom said, "The people deserve transparency." So that's the recap of the Shawn Ryan Conservative podcast with Gavin Newsom. I think this shows that Gavin is trying to get into the conservative ideology and let them know that we do have shared values. What do you guys think?